There is one truth so powerful, so unshakable, that if you grasp it, you will never fear failure again. Your mind is the master key to your success. And if that mind is governed by a positive mental attitude, no failure can ever be final. You may be defeated temporarily, yes. You may be knocked down. You may lose the money, the relationship, the position, the deal. But if you do not lose your mental attitude, if you do not surrender the one thing that governs all things, then you are never truly beaten. Because success is always one decision beyond defeat. And failure, no matter how painful, no matter how public, contains within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit if and only if you keep your mind fixed on growth and not on grief. Every man experiences failure. What separates the champions from the casualties is how he responds to it. Does he curse it, or does he learn from it? Does he let it define him, or does he rise above it and use it as fuel? You see, what happens to you is not the determining factor. It is what happens within you that decides everything. A man who keeps his head clear, his spirit strong, and his mind disciplined, that man cannot be destroyed. I have studied men of greatness across every field, men who built empires, invented industries, shaped nations. I assure you, not one of them was spared from defeat, but not one of them stayed defeated, because their minds were fixed on the truth. Failure is a signal, not a sentence. It is a redirection, not a rejection. And when met with a positive mental attitude, it becomes not your enemy, but your ally. Let me speak to the man who has failed, perhaps recently, perhaps repeatedly. Perhaps you've said to yourself, why me? Let me give you a better question. What now? The first is a victim's cry. The second is a victor's decision. Do not curse the ground beneath your feet when you trip. Study it, learn its pattern, train your step, and walk again with deeper understanding. A positive mental attitude does not mean you deny the pain. It means you use it. You do not ignore what went wrong. You analyze it. You take inventory. You ask, what did this experience teach me about myself, my strategy, my preparation, my beliefs? What adjustments must be made? What weaknesses have been revealed? Because failure will not lie to you. It will show you the truth if you are brave enough to look. And the man who faces that truth without bitterness becomes a man the world cannot break. You must see failure for what it is, a tool, a test, a teacher. You are in a lifelong classroom, and the most valuable lessons will often come in the hardest chapters, that is, the price. But what you gain in return, wisdom, strength, confidence, is worth tenfold what you lost. If you throw away the lesson, you pay the price again and again. But if you extract the lesson, you begin to move like a man who has vision, not because he hasn't failed, but because he knows what to do with it. When you fix your mental attitude toward growth, nothing is wasted. Not the pain, not the loss, not the setback. You begin to see clearly that everything serves you, even the things that once seemed sent to destroy you. You start to reframe your experiences. Instead of saying, I failed, you begin to say, I've discovered what doesn't work, and now I'm one step closer to what does. That is not delusion, that is discipline. But how do you build this attitude in the face of defeat? You begin by choosing your thoughts with the same precision a surgeon chooses his tools. You do not allow the weeds of fear, doubt, and self-pity to take root in your mental garden. You uproot them the moment they appear. You replace them with thoughts of courage, clarity, and confidence. You say to yourself, not once but repeatedly, this is temporary, I am still in command, I am not what happened to me. I am what I decide to do next. I have seen men bankrupt in finance, but rich in faith, rise to greater heights than they ever imagined. I have seen relationships fall apart only to reveal that the man was never whole to begin with, and in rebuilding himself, he attracted something greater. I have seen doors slam shut only for a better one to open, but only because the man kept walking. That is the man who turns failure into a win, the man who walks on. And let us make this clear. Walking on does not mean repeating the same mistake. It means walking on with reflection, with refinement, with resolve. You must evaluate. You must ask, what belief caused this decision? What blind spot did I ignore? What warning did I dismiss? What can I do better next time, and when will I start? The man who asks such questions is no longer at the mercy of failure. He is now mining it. You must treat failure like a prospector treats the rock, not with resentment, but with interest. He knows that within the dull, dusty rubble, gold may be found, but only if he digs. Most men get one hard blow and walk away. The successful man digs deeper. He is not attached to what it looked like. He is committed to what it could become. And that, gentlemen, is the difference between the weak and the worthy. Now I will offer you something more. Failure often precedes breakthrough. Many men are defeated just inches away from the prize. They give up not because they lack strength, but because they lack perspective. Had they kept going one more day, one more adjustment, one more conversation, they would have crossed the invisible line into victory. The enemy of success is not failure, it is fatigue. And fatigue unchecked leads to quitting. So how do you guard against that? You keep your mind fed with the right thoughts, fed with high vision, fed with written goals, spoken affirmations, daily discipline. You do not coast. You do not hope. You program your mind with intention. Just as you would program a machine to operate with precision, you program your own mental patterns until the default is strength, not softness. Until you look at adversity and smile, not because it doesn't hurt, but because you now understand what it's trying to give you. And let me say this with force. The man who refuses to be offended by failure becomes unstoppable. Most men interpret failure as personal, an attack on their identity, but it is not personal. It is structural, it is environmental, it is strategic, it is solvable, and it is always, always temporary. Do not let a temporary failure become a permanent identity. You are not your past. You are not your mistake. You are not the man who fell. You are the man who chooses to rise. So what must you do now? Write the lesson. Rewrite the plan. Rekindle the desire. Make the adjustment. And move again, swiftly, without delay, without apology, because momentum is the medicine. Motion restores the mind. Action realigns the spirit. Do not sit too long in the ashes of what was. Rise, even if you rise slowly. Rise with purpose, with posture, with fire, because you are closer than you think. The setback has taught you more than success ever could. You are sharper now. You are leaner. You are wiser. And if you take that wisdom and combine it with movement, you become a force that cannot be stopped. Failure is the test, but the test is not meant to break you. It is meant to qualify you. So if you failed, good. It means you're in the game. It means you're moving. Now take that failure, turn it over in your hands, and decide. What are you going to do with it? Failure never arrives empty-handed. It comes with two gifts, pain and revelation. Pain is the immediate companion. Revelation is the hidden treasure. The average man feels the pain and stops there. He curses it. He runs from it. He allows it to cloud his vision and weaken his posture. But the man who chooses a positive mental attitude, the man who says, there is good in this and I will find it, that man is handed the revelation. Let us go deeper. Do not waste energy asking if you should have failed. You did. That's history. What matters now is what you are doing with that failure. Are you documenting it? Are you dissecting it? Are you extracting every ounce of insight it offers before time buries it beneath more noise? Every defeat is a window of instruction. It stays open only as long as you remain willing to examine it. Then it closes. And most men walk past that window without ever looking in. Here is what I will tell you from a lifetime of study. Every success story you admire has a long tail of failures attached to it. But you rarely hear about those. Why? Because the man who wins does not camp on the memory of defeat. He uses it and moves. He takes what he needs and burns the rest. He rewrites the narrative with movement. That is how every failure becomes invisible, not because it disappears, but because it is transformed by motion, by clarity, by strength. I ask you, what would change in your life if you started seeing every problem as a project, every failure as a blueprint? What if you adopted the mindset that nothing is wasted unless you decide to waste it? The key is not avoiding pain. The key is commanding its purpose. That is what separates champions from victims, how they assign meaning. A positive mental attitude is not just thinking happy thoughts. It is the deliberate choice to give meaning to your pain that serves your destiny, not your doubt. Now, I will give you 5 disciplines you must practice to turn every failure into a win, not once, but repeatedly. These are not theoretical. They are battle-tested. They are habits of mind and action that will allow you to walk through fire and come out refined, not ruined. Discipline 1, pause and reflect with precision. Not all failure is created equal. Some failures are mechanical, the wrong system. Some are emotional, the wrong attitude. Some are spiritual, a violation of your deepest values. And some are strategic, poor planning, poor timing. You must be willing to stop and reflect, not vaguely, but with surgical precision. Ask, where did I drift from clarity? Where did I abandon the principles I claim to live by? What decision, if made differently, would have changed the outcome? You do not reflect to regret. You reflect to refine. Discipline 2, guard the gate of your mind. Failure is a breeding ground for toxic thoughts. Regret, shame, self-blame, paralysis. These are not truths. These are invaders. You must stand guard over your mind like a soldier over sacred ground. You must refuse entry to every thought that weakens your will, and you do that through repetition of truth. Speak life into yourself when the world tries to speak death. Say, I am still in control. I am still rising. This will not break me. This will build me. Discipline 3, act before you feel ready. After failure, the temptation is to pause, to wait for confidence to return, to wait for clarity, to wait for perfect alignment. That is a lie. Action rebuilds confidence. Movement regenerates clarity. You must take one small step while fear is still present. You must move when the memory of defeat is still fresh. That is how you train the mind not to freeze in the future. Postpone action long enough, and failure begins to harden into identity. Break the cycle. Move now. Discipline 4, build a recovery system. Do not rely on willpower. Build a structure around you. Create a routine that recalibrates your energy. Study daily. Write your lessons. Speak your affirmations. Surround yourself with voices that speak forward, not backward. Create an environment that pulls you upward. The world will not do this for you. The world is built to distract and discourage. Your environment must be built to fortify. If you want to win, design your life to support your success through failure, not just during success. Discipline 5. Use failure as a filter, not a fate. Failure does not mean you are off the path. It means you have discovered the wrong turn. Adjust, reroute, re-aim, but do not redefine yourself by the error. You are not what happened. You are what you choose to become through what happened. The man with a positive mental attitude uses failure as feedback. He does not personalize it. He filters it and uses it to elevate the next move. Let me give you this. There is no such thing as a permanent loss. There is only unclaimed wisdom. And wisdom is what turns scars into symbols of power. When you begin to see that, your relationship with failure changes forever. You stop fearing it. You start expecting it. Not because you welcome defeat, but because you understand it as the next instructor on your path. It becomes part of your process, a signal that you are stretching, not shrinking, that you are trying, not retreating, that you are building something too big to succeed on the first attempt. Do not envy the man who has never failed. Pity him, for he has never grown. He has never been tested. He has never tasted the fire that refines real greatness. That man will crumble when the storm comes. But you, the man who has failed and kept rising, you are becoming unbreakable. You are building something deeper than success. You are building fortitude. And fortitude will take you farther than charm, talent, or luck ever could. Now, I will leave you with one final truth. This truth will outlive trends. It will outlast tactics. It will carry you through storms and silence, confusion and clarity. Listen carefully. So long as you maintain a positive mental attitude, so long as you hold fast to faith, motion, and belief in your God-given potential, no failure can destroy you, not ever. Failure may visit, but it cannot live in the house of a man who refuses to feed it. Defeat may strike, but it cannot linger where the fires of desire still burn. Loss may arrive, but it cannot dominate the mind that is filled with hope, purpose, and persistent action. Do not surrender your mind. Do not surrender your attitude. Do not surrender your spirit. The man who wins is not the man who avoids the fall. It is the man who builds wings on the way down. So rise. Rise from the failure. Rise from the fear. Rise from the false idea that your past defines you. It does not. Your attitude does. And with a positive mental attitude, all things, even failure, serve your success.